Ask Dan Anything is brought to you by Pizza Hut, America's favorite for pizza, pasta, and wings.
We welcome you back to the Dan Bylsma Show, presented by Pizza Hut here inside the Penguins locker room. It's time now for Ask Dan Anything, questions from Penguin fans. So let's get it started. Here's our first one.
I'm Glenn from Oakmont. And Dan, what's going to be in your Christmas stocking?
In my Christmas stocking. That's up to Santa, Glenn, by the way. But what am I going to get in my stocking? I usually get the Lifesaver booklet. Have gotten that many years, going back to my childhood. That's always in there. Probably a toothbrush. It's usually in there. There's usually some dress socks find their way in there as well. And always I get some fishing lures. So that will be in my stocking come Christmas morning.
That's what you did some fishing with the Stanley Cup party, right?
I did.
Up
I'm
in
a
Michigan?
big fisherman. That's my big summer hobby. And my son and my wife always make sure to stock me up with some lures for Christmas, and look forward to Christmas morning for that reason.
Sounds great. Okay, next.
Brent Johnson, Farmington Hills, Michigan. And I wanted to ask you, Coach, where did you get the name Disco Dan? Was it back in the farm in Michigan, or was it in your playing days?
Johnny.
They're Michigan native.
If you just hadn't won, if you against Florida. Not on the farm, no. Didn't get it back then. Disco Dan is from 1994, my playing days. I was in Phoenix, Arizona with the Roadrunners in the IHL. Byron Defoe got sent down during the lockout. His nickname was Bylsma. That's what the guys were calling me at the time. He walked into the middle of the dressing room, said, "You have to get a new nickname." So for about a month, 2 months, there was a big running joke. I was in nickname limbo. The guys every day came up with a new nickname. It ended up being like 5 or 6. It was up to 10, I think, names long. Disco Danny, Fly By Night. And every time there was a story, every time something happened on the ice, they added one more to the nickname, and it ended up with Disco Dan. I may or may not have been caught dancing on the dance floor out one night after a game. So I do dance. I'm not that good, but I'm not afraid to dance, be it in the locker room or at a nightclub, especially back in the day. So Disco Dan, there you have it.
All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm from McCandless, PA. I was wondering, what's your favorite candy, Mr. Bylsma?
Favorite candy?
Favorite candy? Well, Eddie, I'm not a big candy guy. I try to stay away from it if I can, but my wife has it in the house all too often. I love peanut M&Ms. If they're in the house, I try to stay away, but I can't. They're in the house right now. So I've been having a handful of those every day, even though I'm trying to not to. But I love the candy from Canada better. I'm an American, but I had 3 years in Canada. Their chocolate, don't let the players know this, is a little bit better, I think, than some of what we have down here. They have the Carmex candy bar is one of my favorites. When we go up to Canada, I always try to avoid it, but occasionally you'll find me with the Carmex candy bar as well. So some of my favorites.
What about the Coffee Crisp?
You know what, I had
Big fan.
When I was young, the family I stayed with in Canada when I was 16 years old, they always had Coffee Crisp in the house, so occasionally I ran into a Coffee Crisp as well.
Classic Canadian chocolate bar. All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Tina Lopez from Carnegie, PA, and I was just wondering what it's like to have Lemieux as your boss.
Yes, Mario Lemieux is my boss. Well, I can tell you, when I first got to Pittsburgh last year, Mario came in shortly after I think my third game, he came into the room, and we were talking about the team, talking about the players, talking about where we were at. And I just, when he left, I was shaking my head thinking there's Mario Lemieux chatting with me, his head coach of his hockey team, about his players and team and where we were at. And I still can't get over that. He comes in after the game and usually a handshake, win or lose, and hangs out for a brief moment. And it's just it never get over the fact that one of the greatest players, a guy I admired playing against, watched him playing. Our owner, the guy who responsible for a lot of the hockey in Pittsburgh, is a guy who is my boss. I'm never going to get over that one.
Pretty fortunate. I think everybody is here in Pittsburgh. All right, we're going to take a break and return. We'll wrap things up on this week's edition of the Dan Bylsma Show, presented by Pizza Hut. We're back one final time on this week's edition of the Dan Bylsma Show, presented by Pizza Hut. Earlier we were talking about generating offense in the attacking zone. Dan, I got to ask you, which opponent this season's given you the hardest time in terms of generating that offense? Who's been toughest to play against?
The toughest, I think, Phoenix was a real tough game early on this season. They played very well, but the team that consistently through 2 games so far has been really difficult to get to that offensive zone the way we want to and stick there and play there for long periods of time has definitely been New Jersey. And I think the biggest thing that they've prevented us from being able to do is get to the offensive zone, whether it's with possession of the puck or whether we'll get on our forecheck and be able to sustain time there with the puck. And we just haven't been able to get there like we want to. It turns into more of a 50-50 game in terms of puck possession or time in the zone. And as a result, we've had low-scoring games, and we've been on the short end of the stick in both of those games.
Tough to generate offense against New Jersey. I think that sentence has been said on television many times. And what's the solution? You got to deal with them here this week. What's the plan going into that game?
Yeah, the mindset in terms of how we execute with the puck has to be more methodical. We spend a lot of time talking about going north of the puck and having speed and attack their defensemen, but because they're such a good positionally in the neutral zone, because they have create such a gap between our forwards and our D, we have to be methodical, a little bit more slow about how we go about things, and come as a 5-man unit so that when we do have the puck, when we do enter the puck, we have people around the puck, and when we do get it in behind their D, it's not just one guy going in and trying to create a turnover. It's 2 and 3 guys in the right position, forcing them into a bad decision. Then we can get focused on playing in the offensive zone more.
All right, well, good luck with that, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. You want to pass along any holiday wishes here?
Absolutely. Happy holidays to everyone in the Pittsburgh area.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Dan Bylsma Show, presented by Pizza Hut. We will see you next time.